warn any candidate, presidential or otherwise, who continuously flout the Electoral Commission's guidelines and try to provoke security forces that we shall not stand for it.
The CDF, MUHOOZI Kainerugaba, came out to issue a threat against Bobi Wine and other presidential candidates. You clearly see that the state is hell-bent in threatening those who want change, by those who are seeking change through democratic means. And one of the Socrates came out to say that if people know one particular thing to solve a certain problem, they may want to implement it against other problems. Since this regime came through power by the force of arms, they think that the people want to put them out would want to use force. So they end up threatening and also using violence against competitors. The CDF came out to issue this statement, and I want to play, I'm going to play it for you. Pay a lot of attention because it's going to form a basis for a discussion. Here's the tape.
Your Excellency and distinguished guests, the country is currently in the midst of a general election with presidential, parliamentary, and local government campaigns well underway. The political campaigns have so far proceeded smoothly, and we commend not only the security forces who are working around the clock to ensure we have a peaceful electoral process, but also the Wananchi who are thus far abiding by the Independent Electoral Commission's and Uganda police guidelines. However, we must warn any candidate, presidential or otherwise, who continuously flout the Electoral Commission's guidelines and try to provoke security forces that we shall not stand for it. This indiscipline must stop. The security of the country will not be compromised merely because a particular candidate is campaigning. It doesn't work like that.
So that is MUHOOZI Kainerugaba, who came out to issue threats against the presidential candidates, saying that the presidential candidates should follow Electoral Commission's guidelines. By the way, even the Electoral Commission guidelines are unfair. The Electoral Commission guidelines are like cobwebs. They only catch, opposition leaders who, some are small, because cobwebs catch small insects, not big ones. Okay? First of all, let's first look at the Electoral Commission guidelines. When Bobi Wine came out to buy maize on the roadside, he was rebuked by the Electoral Commission chairperson. What law prevents that? Because I see in other countries, as a presidential candidate is going for his political rally, he can also decide to address roadside rallies. Now, the Electoral Commission is coming out to say that roadside rallies are not permitted because General Museveni cannot do so. General Museveni cannot campaign vigorously because of old age. So doing roadside rallies makes him even more tired before he engages the last rally. So by preventing him from campaigning aggressively, they put up a blanket law to prevent even others like Bobi Wine to do the same, which is unfortunate. So General MUHOOZI coming out to threaten presidential candidates. You clearly see that since the security forces were gripping their tenacity on the unconstitutionalism, the campaign started off maybe peaceful, thinking that Bobi Wine was not going to marshal such a support. So when they saw the support Bobi Wine was marshalling, the security forces, were never patient to go in their actual mood of violence. I've realized that whenever the security forces do not engage Bobi Wine's support, the elections are somehow peaceful. But whenever the security forces come out to engage Bobi Wine, that's where we see people being beaten and violence and people being arrested for no good reason. So MUHOOZI Kainerugaba, you cannot come out and threaten presidential candidates. In fact, MUHOOZI Kainerugaba, come here. That cane is yours. One more. That second cane is yours, MUHOOZI Kainerugaba. First of all, as Ugandans, we cannot continue to be threatened for a long period of time. We must continue fighting for our democracy because even the constitution permits that. All these things that are happening in the body politic, you clearly see that, okay, it is the regime going in a panic mode. And if a person goes in a panic mode, is a most dangerous one. So what I'm saying is, one, MUHOOZI Kainerugaba, you should learn that in a democracy, and most especially even the electoral commission, because me, I'm among the person who comes out to say that the electoral commission should be disbanded because it is not even good to hold an election where it only comments about opposition flaws, not coming out to speak against people who are beating up BOBI and supporters, not talking about security personnel engaging in politics. We clearly see personnel, RDCs, civil servants like RDCs making political statements. We see armies making political statements. A person who is speaking right now, the CDF MUHOOZI Kainerugaba, has previously made a political statement to an extent of saying that he's going to be president, to an extent saying that he's going to arrest Bobi Wine. Ordinarily, under our constitution, even if you are the CDF, you must not make such observations. And the people who normally have voices come out to play PR, especially those who have just joined the NRM. The Minister of Justice, Norbert Mao, was the first person to come out and say the elections are going to be silent because he never wanted processions. He wanted people to just go on a campaigning venue so that a candidate can come. Because if you play it that way, it's just General Museveni who can afford going to the venue with, because he has the machinery and the money. He ferries people to the journey. A person who has a lesser budget like Bobi Wine has to make a procession to take his supporters to the venue. So Mao, once a beacon of human rights freedoms, was the one trying to break the conundrum, is crossed the Rubicon. So even the CDF coming out to make such unfortunate statements, because you clearly see that that statement was very threatening presidential candidates. And for me, I keep on telling Uganda that one, nobody's going to make our democracy better. Even those who would want to help us, would want to see us agitating for the rights and freedoms. By the way, when the constitution is fair, there is no winner or loser, because at the end of the day, we shall be all equal before the law. But if we decide to play ping pong with our constitution and make it look like it is politics, at the end of the day, even those who are in power, because power is not permanent, those who are in power should learn to understand that the same laws you apply to others, sit in your bed and wish that if the same laws would be applied to you, how would you feel? The best laws are those that even when you are accounting them to others, you must be also okay with them if somebody is accounting them to you. So General MUHOOZI's threats should not be taken for granted. It's just building a machinery to take on Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Bobi Wine. Of course, that's my opinion. Remain yours truly, Mr. Makindi. Kabye Sulaiman Mawagali, the next MP for Makindi constituency. I'll see you on another one. Peace.